Right, let's watch a few clips. Now, again, this is where Peter Hitchens is a subversive. I know we had him on the show, 5 years ago? He's not been on since. Again, he blames all the problems of marijuana for black people going around and killing everybody. But Peter Hitchens says that we require our own Iron Dome. Really? Do we?
I take the defense of this country very seriously. I grew up in a naval family. My grandfather was in World War I. My father was on the Russian convoys in the Second World War, taking tanks to Joseph Stalin, so I also know how complicated these things are.
Excuse me? My grandfather was on the Russian convoy taking tanks to Joseph Stalin? That's quite subversive, isn't it? Yeah, they are, because Hitchens is Jewish. So he will always push a Jewish narrative. It's as simple as that. When push comes to shove, he might say one or two things that you agree with, but then on the next hand, he wants you like buying an Iron Dome system from Israel. Okay, Peter.
Convoys in the Second World War, taking tanks to Joseph Stalin, so I also know how.
Thanks for that. Thank you, Grandad Hitchens. Really appreciate that.
Complicated these things are. My daughter and my son-in-law were in Afghanistan, a good deal closer to the front line than Donald Trump has ever been. So all these things seem to me to give me some sort of right to say that there's an awful lot of rubbish being talked about national defense at the moment. It's not so much that we're not spending enough. We spend an absolute fortune by anybody's standards. It's what are we spending it on and why are we spending it? An awful lot of what we do now seems to me to be based on a fantasy about how much more important we are than we really are. We used to be a great power. That was great while it lasted, but it's over. We're now a medium-sized power, and we need mainly to defend ourselves. What should we be worried about? Look at what's happened in Ukraine and what's happening in the Middle East. We should be worried about drones and how to defend ourselves against them. We should be creating our own Iron Dome-style fortress against missiles, which are the great threat.
He took the jab to go on holiday.
Sure our Navy can defend our seas, which are actually an enormously important defense of this country.
It's just all so tiresome. Someone in the chat says they didn't know Peter Hitchens was Jewish. Well, look, that's fine, but there are usually there's usually some tells. Okay, there's just some things that are, let's just be blunt, and there is an expression as plain as the nose on the face. So just the next time you're not sure, just look a bit closer. And just play a wee tune in the back of your head. Just kind of physiognomy never lies. It just doesn't. It doesn't lie.
Without them, we would have been overwhelmed many times in the past 1,000 years. And we should also be making sure that our airspace is safe, and we should have an army that's big enough to frighten anybody who might think of attacking us. Those are the basics of it. We spend a lot.
Piss off, Hitchens. Like, our country's being overrun by foreigners. What does it matter if we've got a massive army?
Better. But we shouldn't just get into some kind of tizzy about trying to continue to be a world power, which we're not. We can barely afford our current submarine-launched nuclear deterrent, which is decrepit and crumbling and actually can't last much longer. We certainly can't afford gigantic aircraft carriers, which have no known purpose. But what we can do is train the right people to do the right thing and then keep them when we found them and build the right ships and aircraft and tanks and guns and vehicles to do the job of making sure that nobody thinks it's safe to attack us. Think like that.
Well, the people who are attacking us are the British government and the forces of international capital. That's who's attacking us.